Welcome to episode 32 of our series on stress. Meet Anita. She was studying brain diseases in graduate school, working hard to become a researcher. But deep inside, she had a big problem. She didn't believe in herself. Every day, she would look around at her classmates and think, everyone else knows what they're doing. I'm just pretending. Soon they'll find out I'm not smart enough to be here. This feeling got worse when she learned about her upcoming qualifying exam, a big test that would decide if she could continue working toward her PhD. Every time she thought about this test, her heart would beat faster, and her stomach would feel sick. I wish I didn't have to do this, she would say to herself over and over. Then something changed. Anita started taking a class about stress. One day, the teacher talked about two different ways to look at hard things in life. You can see them as threats, things that will hurt you, or as challenges, things that will help you grow. This simple idea hit Anita like a lightning bolt. She realized she had been treating her test like a monster under the bed. She thought she wasn't strong enough to handle it. She was so afraid of feeling nervous that she avoided practicing for her presentation. Even though this test would help her get closer to her dream job, all she could think was, I wish I could run away from this. But Anita decided to try something new. She started small. Whenever she felt those nervous butterflies in her stomach, instead of thinking, I'm scared, she would tell herself, I'm excited. At first, it felt silly. She didn't believe it at all, but she kept doing it anyway. She also started looking at her body's reactions differently. When her heart beat faster, instead of thinking, I'm too nervous, I can't do this, she told herself, my body is giving me extra energy to do well. The next big step was meeting with her teachers. Before, these meetings terrified her. She thought they would ask her questions she couldn't answer and realized she wasn't smart enough. But now she tried something different. She told herself, even if I don't know everything right now, these meetings will help me learn. Each question they ask is helping me get ready for my test. Then came the scariest part, giving practice talks. She had to do this 4 times before the real test. On the morning of her first practice talk, she woke up feeling like her heart was going to jump out of her chest. The old thought came back. I wish I didn't have to do this. But this time she caught herself. She took a deep breath and said, wait, this practice talk will help me. Even if it goes badly, I'll learn from it. Each time I practice, I'll get better. And you know what? She was right. Each time she gave a practice talk, she felt a little more confident. Each time her voice shook a little less. Each time she believed in herself a little more. Finally, the day of her big test arrived. Something surprising happened. Anita woke up feeling excited. Sure, she was still nervous, but for the first time ever, she wasn't fighting against her nervousness. When she started her presentation, her voice was strong and clear. When the teachers asked her questions, she stayed calm. Even when she didn't know all the answers, she didn't panic. She just did her best. At the end of the test, her main teacher said something amazing. That was the best presentation you've ever given. Looking back, Anita realized what had changed. Before, I spent so much energy trying not to feel nervous, she said. I thought being nervous was bad. But when I learned to accept my nervousness and think about it differently, everything changed. I didn't have to pretend I wasn't nervous. I just had to think about it in a new way. What Anita learned wasn't just about passing a test. She learned something much more important. When we're faced with something scary, we have a choice. We can run away from our fears, or we can face them with a new way of thinking. We can turn our, I wish I didn't have to do this, into, I can do this. The nervous feelings didn't go away completely, and that's okay. What changed was how Anita looked at those feelings. Instead of seeing them as proof that she wasn't good enough, She saw them as signs that her body was getting ready to do something important. Instead of fighting against her nerves, she learned to work with them. Her story teaches us that sometimes the biggest change doesn't come from changing the situation. After all, the test was still hard, and she still had to face it. The biggest change comes from changing how we think about the situation. When Anita changed her thoughts from, "This is too hard," to, "This is helping me grow," she found strength she never knew she had. Now, whenever Anita faces something challenging, she remembers this lesson. Being nervous doesn't mean you can't do something. Sometimes it just means you're getting ready to do something brave.